Good Thursday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. So much to give you on today's show, folks. The closing of an iconic auto business. We will lead with that. We'll talk sales surging for ABC stores across the Commonwealth. They surpassed $1 billion in sales. More on that. Should the Charlottesville community have representation on the University of Virginia Board of Visitors? A lot of folks in the Charlottesville community upset that UVA is returning students to grounds, and perhaps we offer this suggestion: Board of Visitors needs a representative from a local here in Charlottesville. We'll talk about that on the show. UVA students and workers host a die-in on grounds. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about unemployment cases. 881,000 new people on the unemployment line. Virginia Tech football prohibiting tailgating this year. COVID cases also up in the Virginia Tech football team. UVA and Bronco Mendenhall in the athletic department in Charlottesville, they're pursuing an 11th game, the +1. Remember when VMI pieced out the opener because of COVID? Well, the ACC is asking the University of Virginia to get an out-of-conference game on its schedule, so UVA is doing that. Starting quarterback in Athens at UGA, University of Georgia, this dude is choosing not to play football because of COVID, and he's just working out for his stock in the NFL draft. We have that story for you. And how about this? A sports book with gambling windows coming to Wrigley Field. We've been talking about gambling on this show for a couple of months. Wrigley Field's going to open a sports book on location. We have some crystal ball predictions at the bottom of the show. We'll give some love, Judah Wickhauer, to Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, a home's best friend. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. For more than 50 years, this business has made our community better. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. J-Dubs, Judah Wickhauer, our director. Love you, love you, love you, homie. 8+ years at this business with us. My right-hand guy, Judah Wickhauer. You ready to run some headlines? Let's do it. Let's start with the one that got me a little sad, man. Edgecombs. Edgecombs Imported Auto, after serving this community in fantastic fashion for more than 40 years, is closing its doors in Albemarle County because of COVID-19. They have straight up cut to the chase. They said people are not traveling in cars as much anymore because of COVID. People are staying in their Zoom rooms and their home offices instead of getting in their tin cans and driving to work. As a result, the service center is not doing the business it needs to do. We'll cut to the chase. Revenues are down at Edgecombs, and it's September. This business closes its doors. This was an epicenter for quality Volvo products. Judah Wickhauer, remember I almost sold my Volvo Cross Country to Edgecombs, and the business was started in 1979. Let's take a macro look of what's going on and then consider the micro impact in Charlottesville. Boys and girls, folks are working from home, from Zoom and Skype more than ever. Air travel, especially midweek air travel, where in midweek air travel was a lot of the businessmen and women, air travel is down. Transportation is down. Public subway rides. People ain't going to the concrete jungle and going to the Blackstones of the world riding the subways. They're working from home. And Edgecombe straight up says people aren't getting in their cars as much as they used to and driving to work. So our service business is down. I'm going to take it a step further, and this is something for the crystal ball predictions at the end of the show, but I'll tease it now. I have roughly $2,700 of personal money invested in Carvana. Carvana is basically an e-commerce retail opportunity for you to buy your vehicles through. Carvana has that tower of cars as a marketing piece and also as a point of sale. Carvana, much like CarMax, streamlining the buying and selling process with transparency online. CarMax and Carvana says this is the price. We are putting it online and we're competing against other online retailers. So the price is the price and they're making it easier. Unfortunately, the Carvana and CarMax model is having a tremendous impact on mom and pop auto retailers like Edgecombs that very much do their business face to face at their Avon Extended lot right outside the city of Charlottesville. So for more than 40 years, I think when you've been in business for 40 plus years, I can use the adjective iconic. I think that's fair. An iconic business started by Gary and Betsy Edgecombs in 1979 is no more. First, I want to give some props to this family for running this business with class. You don't always see class, integrity, and character in the auto servicing business, but this family embodies those qualities. Unfortunately, much like we told you yesterday with Tavern on the James in Scottsville, where the proprietors of that restaurant, the restaurateurs, Kelly and Spencer Marshall, a husband and wife tandem. Spencer, that executive chef, Kelly, often interacting with customers at the front of the house at Tavern on the James. They let everyone know we're losing $7,000 to $10,000 a month at this eatery in Scottsville, and they said if things don't change at Tavern on the James, we're going to close our doors in January. So we're seeing the impact, undoubtedly local. We're seeing it now in the auto industry. We know it's impacted weddings. We're going to hear the impact it's had on music with Ray Caddell in about 14 minutes. Now, the auto industry impacted. We'll continue to follow this trend as COVID is impacting auto, hospitality, food, events, gyms. I'm a member at ACAC. Every time I go into ACAC, which is 5 days a week, I ask the person at the front desk, what occupancy are you clipping? And they straight up say, we're not even at 25% since COVID-19 has hit. So folks, this pandemic, good Lord, do we need a vaccine, right? We'll continue this discussion later in the program. Let's go to a monopoly. And when you think monopolies in the Commonwealth of Virginia, some that immediately come to mind are the devils at Dominion Energy. Well, another monopoly that we need to consider is Virginia ABC. The Virginia Alcohol Beverage Control Authority, look at the headline on screen. They announced Wednesday that retail sales of $1.2 billion in fiscal year 2020 were epic. Nearly 120 million increase from the previous year and the second year in a row that ABC has surpassed $1 billion in sales. All right, come back to me and let's cut to the chase. Boys and girls, the ABC is a monopoly. We cannot buy our booze anywhere else besides this three-letter store. They did $1.2 billion with a B in fiscal year 2020, despite restaurants operating as a shadow of their former selves. What does that tell you? What does that tell me? Let's read the tea leaves. Boys and girls, I don't know if you're like me, but when you're home and you're off work and you don't have an opportunity to go to happy hour or chill or hang out with your friends and your homies at the restaurants, what are you doing? You're putting on Netflix, you're binge watching Cobra Kai. If you haven't seen that show, watch the remake of Karate Kid. It's called Cobra Kai. Johnny Lawrence actually has a heart and doesn't just sweep Daniel's son's leg. Anyway, I digress. The ABC guys, $1.2 billion in sales, despite restaurants not really being in operation. That tells me that all of us, when we get home, we're triple fisting. We may not be drinking 3 or 4 drinks, but what we're doing is we're getting our bourbons, our Angel's Envy. We're getting our bourbons from Woodford Reserve, Jack Daniels, your gins, your vodkas, your tequilas, and you're pouring drinks that are stiffer than we've ever poured before because we got nothing else to do. The ABC also responded quickly with curbside carryout for booze and liquor. $1.2 billion across 370 stores in the Commonwealth of Virginia, despite restaurant sales being a shadow of their former selves. That means we're drinking more than we ever have. What I would love to see much like I would love to see this with Dominion Energy, I'd like these monopolies to be broken up, and I'd like to see more competition in the space. I love the fact that TikTok is about to be purchased by a U.S. companies, whether it's the Walmart, Microsoft team, or the Oracle team with some private equity money. More options, the better. When we have a number of options in the market to choose and consider, it makes the businesses that cater to the customers in the market better because competition keeps everyone's on their toes. Furthermore, it creates price competition, which keeps prices low for all of us. Let's break up this monopoly that is the ABC, that has a stranglehold on something we all love, and that's called liquor. $1.2 billion in fiscal year 2020 across 370 stores. That ain't bad. Judah Wickhauer, the next headline, my friend, comes from the Cavalier Daily. And I'll tell you what, if you're not reading the reporting from the Cavalier Daily, you're missing a very quality media outlet that covers the University of Virginia, probably better than even the Daily Progress, who I don't think has a UVA reporter right now. The Cavalier Daily had an op-ed, an opinion piece, and the opinion piece basically says we need someone from the city of Charlottesville that has the best interests of the city of Charlottesville to be on the Board of Visitors for the University of Virginia. I'm going to hold that thought for a second. I want to understand the demographics of the 17 people on the UVA Board of Visitors. There's 17 voting members that are appointed by the governor of Virginia. There are 2 non-voting members on the Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia, a student representative and a faculty representative. So here's basically what we have. The Board of Visitors is the governing body of the University of Virginia. Jim Ryan's bosses, the president. So there's 17 peeps on the Board of Visitors. There's 2 other peeps, make it 19, that don't vote, a student and a faculty member. Of the 17 voting members, it's rich people. I'll cut to the chase. It's rich people that have connections to the governor. You got 17% of the board is women. 83% of the board is men. 76% of the Board of Visitors are white people. 76 of the Board of Visitors are white people. So the Board of Visitors and Governor Ralph Northam, I'm talking to you, the people you were appointing to the governing body of the University of Virginia, Ralph Northam, they look like you when you look in the mirror. These are people that give money to you, that have connections to you. So perhaps, Governor of Virginia, you may consider some diversity with the 17 voting members that you appoint to the governing body of the University of Virginia. Next, I want to offer this perspective. I 1,050% think the city of Charlottesville should have, and it shouldn't be a filthy rich white man. It should not be a filthy rich white man that's on the Board of Visitors as Charlottesville's representative. How about we have on the Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia someone that's working class, blue collar, maybe middle class? How about a person of color? How about a female representing the city of Charlottesville on the Board of Visitors? Okay? We know it's the city of UVA. It's not the city of Charlottesville. We know as Charlottesville, as UVA goes, Charlottesville follows suit. Okay? But there's many, many people, and I'm literally torn on this. I'm a conscious capitalist who's a libertarian that doesn't want the government in his pocket. Okay? The taxes I pay, if you knew the level of money that I was paying to the government, Commonwealth and federal, your jaw would be on the freaking floor. And I know that's for a lot of us. Okay? I understand the value of students for our local economy, but I also see what's happening at Chapel Hill and now James Madison University, and I'll give you an update in Black Spring at Virginia Tech in a matter of minutes. It ain't pretty. So I'm torn on whether the students should come back or not. Regardless, I truly, truly, truly believe that the governing body of the University of Virginia should have some representation from the city of Charlottesville, and that representation should not be a hedge fund manager, a multimillionaire, a money manager, a white rich dude. It should be a person of color, perhaps a female, someone from a working class background that can offer perspective to the other folks on this board that are frankly filthy rich, and not living in a world that all of us live in. Okay, I'll cut to the chase, and that may sting some people or leave a sour taste, but I don't care. Charlottesville should have representation on this board, okay? And I would like to see that perhaps change moving forward, especially when we're dealing with the pandemic and bringing thousands of 18 to 22-year-olds back to a city of 50,000 people that's 10.2 square miles, with many of us very fearful of the spread of a pandemic and a virus that we've never experienced in our life. We'll keep that, and we'll table that thought for the back end of the show. Judah Wickower, quickly, the NBC 29 headline. Workers and students at the University of Virginia hosted, and I've never heard this phrase before. I've heard the phrase sit in. A protest when you sit in is you go to a location and you sit. Well, the students and the workers dubbed it a die-in. And the die-in is essentially students and workers pretending to be dead corpses around grounds at the University of Virginia, and they're basically saying, do you want to see dead corpses around grounds at the University of Virginia? Because that's what you're doing when you're bringing students back. Now, that's hyperbole and exaggerated by the students and the workers for the sake of a protest. But they're hosting a die-in with in-person classes set to start, Judah Wickower, what, on Monday? I mean, in-person classes are starting, boys and girls, on September 8th. So the 4th is Friday, the 5th is Saturday, the 6th is Sunday, the 7th is Tuesday, the classes start. Okay? So we'll follow it as classes start here, but a die-in held at the University of Virginia. Next headline, J-Dubs, a macro headline from CNBC. There are now an additional 881,000 people, look at the screen, on the soup kitchen unemployment pink slip no job line. Now, here's a positive. Estimates had the jobless number at 950,000. It checked in at 881,000. Regardless, 881,000 of people without work is a hell of a lot of people. The total claims fell to 13.3 million, which is a drop of 1.2 million from the previous week. There's roughly 320 million people in the world. Roughly 320 million people in America. Okay, roughly. Now, there's 13.3 million that are out of work. Remember, of that 320 million people that are in America, some are children and a lot are retired. So that 320 is not the baseline. You can legitimately say we're flirting with 10% unemployment with the actual people that work in America, excluding kids and retired folks. If there's positive and a silver lining, and I'm a positive guy, they estimated it at 950K. It checked in at 881K. Regardless, the election, without getting political, the 2020 election, two old white dudes, one with the moral compass of Lucifer, Judah doesn't like when I say that, the other with the mental faculty of someone who's not very stable. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you're not questioning Joe Biden's mental faculty, you're just not seeing what's going on. Why we have two old white guys as our only options, that irritates the hell out of me, okay? This election is going to straight up come down to COVID and the economy and some social justice. Those three talking points will determine the outcome November 3rd. We will see as we get closer to the 3rd what happens with the economy. You're going to have to figure out that jobless number, and you're going to have to figure out getting people back to work. How we get people back to work is a vaccine. Are we going to take the vaccine that's being rushed through the trial periods? I don't know. Some will. Some won't. I mean, we can't even get people to take the flu vaccine. If we can't get people to take the flu vaccine, how are we going to get people to take a rush-through COVID vaccine? We'll talk about that later in the program. The next headline, guys, and Ray Caddell in about 90 seconds on today's program. The next headline comes, you know what, why don't I reach out to Ray now? Because I think he has so much to work with. I will save this. After the interviews with Ray Caddell, Susan Steimart, and Kelly Jackson, we're going to talk Virginia Tech prohibiting tailgating at football games, We're going to talk COVID outbreaks on the Virginia Tech football team. They are spiking. We're going to talk UVA football pursuing an 11th out-of-conference game, a +1, and a quarterback at the University of Georgia piecing out from football because of fears of COVID, and a sports book coming to Wrigley Field. Good Lord. Did you ever think you'd see gambling windows at Wrigley Field? Gambling seems like the topic of conversation for 2020. Judah Wickower, I have Ray Caddell on the line. Ray Caddell, my friend, if you can activate that camera so we can see your handsome face. There you go. We see Ray Caddell. Man, you are looking dapper today, dog. He's got his favorite scotch over there on the shelf. He's got photos of his family over there. I like it. You got a haircut recently. You're freshly manicured. Your shirt is dope and looking sharp. I love this man. Ray, the show is...
wait a minute. French cuffs.
Oh, let me see that. Raise it a little higher. You got good style. And, dude, you got a nice watch, man. This guy is a showman of epic proportions. All right, I'm going to get out of your way. Ray, first, you personally, my friend, you are an entertainer. You're a real estate agent virtuoso. Music and entertaining, undoubtedly your passion. You've been unable to do this, frankly, in 2020 since COVID hit, save for a micro wedding this past weekend. First, I'd like to ask you personally, my friend, how's the mental health? How are the spirits of Ray Caddell?
Well, what a great question. I have a group of band leaders like me from all over the country that I put together. We meet by Zoom, of course, on Wednesday nights, and that's something we talk about every week. There is, it's not just the money. This is who we are as entertainers and musicians, and my personal mental health's okay. I have a day job that helps, that I have to focus on, and a family. But yeah, thanks for asking, and I'm okay.
I can say this: you are, from a musician standpoint, one of the lucky ones because of this fabulous real estate career that you have built. If it was not for that, you would be like a lot of your brothers and sisters in this business, not having any revenue coming in. My friend, I'm going to get out of your way. The music industry, it is not getting the attention that restaurants are getting from a national standpoint with the devastation to the industry. Can you put this in perspective for us, please?
Again, I'm going to give you some big numbers, and then I want to distill that down to some small numbers that we can talk about how they impact locally. First of all, the live entertainment business, that's not television, not movies, live entertainment business, which is primarily music, including concerts, is projected to lose just this calendar year, not even into next year yet, we're not even talking, $74 billion with a B, capital B, $74 billion. Well, I mean, you can't even put your arms around that number. I mean, you just can't. So let me bring it down for a second. So I have this group on Wednesday nights of band leaders, like I said, and there's 56 people in the group around the country, all people that I know, all top shelf, primarily wedding band guys, and we don't see everybody every week, but let's take 25 of those guys. Let's just sort of make a conservative estimate of what's going on. So let's take 25 band leaders and the people that work for them, and I want to talk about that in a second too, but don't let me forget about the difference between 1099 and W-2, because that's what's happening to musicians and waiters and everybody else in that regard. So let's say we take these 25 band leaders. These are just people I know personally, and they work an average of 40 weddings a year, and the average cost, and this is low because I'm really trying to be conservative, is $8,000. Folks have paid $8,000 for these quality bands for their weddings. Some people are paying $20,000 for their bands, but $8,000 is a nice conservative number. That's $40.3 million. $40.3 million just in my friends, just half of my friends. I mean, this thing, and that's just the music. When you start talking about the whole wedding industry as a whole, I mean, it's millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars. Here's what's so insidious about it and what's so difficult for the music industry and virtually anybody that's a 1099 employee. For those of you that don't know, you get paid one of two ways in life. Either you have a job where somebody tells you what to do and when to do it and where to sit, And at the end of the week or every 2 weeks, you get a check, and he takes your taxes out and sends it to the government. At the end of the year, you get a document called a W-2, which you file for your taxes and get some of that money back that you lent Uncle Sam for a year, and he didn't pay any interest, but that's a whole other show.
Right.
but musicians aren't like that. Musicians, almost all musicians, are what's called independent contractors. So even though I generally have the same people on stage with me every night, the IRS doesn't look at it that way. They know those people work, particularly in a state like Virginia, at will, and so they're called independent contractors. So on March the 6th, which is the last time we worked, those independent contractors stopped getting paid by me because I had no money coming in, and they're not employees. They were ineligible to file for unemployment. Ineligible to file for unemployment because they're 1099 employees. Now, and we started this Wednesday night group really the next week, and one of the beauty things of it is we brought in a lawyer and an accountant, all kinds of people to talk to us and try to help us through this. So here's what they had to do, and waiters, they call it the gig economy. We like to think it's because of musicians, but really anybody that gets a 1099, you have to file for unemployment. You have to get denied. If you work in a state or you get a check from me, for instance, but you're one of my musicians that lives in Delaware or Maryland or something like that, then you have to get denied in your home state. Then you have to get denied in my state.
What?
And then finally, the government came out with a thing called the PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which, by the way, has not been passed by Congress yet for this. It just ended for this last deal. And that allowed musicians to get a unemployment type benefit. Now, in fairness to the IRS and the United States government, not two people I say a lot of good things about very often.
Me either.
They did make it retroactive. So even though it took weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for my people to get any money, when it got to June, really, before I even got anything, they made it retroactive back to March 6th. So that was okay. But and that's not available now. They have not indicated that that's going to continue. That's also not necessarily the case in every state. So across the country, people are having unbelievable problems. I'm just going to talk about musicians today because that's the way I am. Although, interestingly, real estate agents, same boat, also independent contractors.
But that business is blowing up right now.
Well, yes and no. Let's talk about that for a second. That business is off about 40% nationwide. Everybody talks about how great it is, how great it is, how great it is. Here's what's great. Prices are up in real estate because inventory is down. It's pretty simple. Interest rates, I just locked a client in yesterday, 2.75% fixed, 30 years, nothing, no points, nothing special.
Wow.
My buddy Bill Hamrick took care of that day. I mean, people had a reasonable credit report, but it was not some special deal. Here's the problem. Let's say you called me and said, hey, I think I want to put my house on the market. I'll say, great, let me come talk to you about that. By the way, how many strangers do you want walking through your house and you don't know if they're sick or not? And you go, oh, geez, got to think about that. So all of a sudden, I'm in the PPE business. I've got to have booties and masks and gloves and make sure. And I got to go to my clients when there's a showing to make sure the other agent is doing the right thing and protecting my people. So that's pretty complicated too. Let's look at the flip side. Let's say you called me and said, I want to buy an investment property. Let's go look at some stuff. I'm like, great. How many houses do you, Jerry, want to walk through? And let's hope everybody's not sick that lives there. And by the way, where I have done most of my real estate sales work for the last 35 years, I've been in the business full time, is with you sitting next to me in the car. Because that's when we're talking. That's where we're learning who each other are. That's why I'm getting the feeling for what you want, what you need, how I can best serve your real estate needs. You know what? You're not riding in my car. It's not happening. So the whole business has changed. I saw you had Aaron or somebody on. We have much better quality pictures now and virtual tours and things like that because we better to help people. But Yeah, it looks like the real estate business is really, really good because houses are selling really, really fast. The problem is we don't have enough inventory.
Right.
So it's so it's a little artificial. And you talk about on your show all the time. I hate to use the word affordable housing because it's. Listen, there are some people that are never going to be able to buy a house in Greater Charlottesville. It's just never going to happen because
it's expensive.
The ratio between what they make and what housing prices are, it's just never going to get to where it needs to be. So I'm not crazy about that affordable term because that makes it sound like we can make that for everybody. I don't think everybody's supposed to own a house. I think maybe it sounds weird for a real estate guy to say, but maybe it isn't for everybody. Maybe rent is a really important part of the American economy, and you don't have to clean your own gutters out and stuff like that. But it's coming along. But here's the interesting thing to me about, and let's just talk about wedding bands for a second, because it's really primarily what I do. About 80%, normally 80% of what I do is are high-end weddings. The rest are corporate events and charity galas. Corporate events, a company getting together, throwing a big party for their employees and their customers.
They're not going to do that, yeah.
Yeah, that's gone. Charity galas, the Boys and Girls Club, or some other great local charity. I don't even know what I don't want to speak for them, but they have an event every year called the Big Gig. They got bands and people and auctions and Howie Long and all that. How's that going to work? So all of a sudden, 20% of the casual music business is just gone. We don't know when it's coming back. It might never come back. There are projections about from the movie and the TV people about this thing hurting up to $200 billion over the next 5 years. They're looking at. So it's a tough time, and you hit the nail right on the head. How was my emotional health? I don't even ask people that anymore. I say, tell me physically how you're doing. It's the best you can hope for. Now, my band, we get together, my people that work for them, we get together often on Zoom. We talk. We're on the phone. We did a micro wedding last week. First performance since March the 6th.
Wow.
And it was 4 of us. It was I'm actually kind of proud of how it came about. The people called me and said, hey, we're postponing our wedding till next year. Almost exactly a year till next year. I said, that'd be great. We'll talk about deposits and how all that stuff works in a second, because that's not pretty either. I said, great. I said, what are you going to do? They said, well, we're going to get married actually at the same place at Early Mountain Vineyard with just really the wedding party and a couple sets of parents. And, there's like 19 people all together. I said, what are you going to do about music? They said, oh, well, we hadn't thought about that. I said, what are you going to do about that little microphone on the preacher's collar that needs to be there, so particularly outside, even 19 people can hear your vows and things like that? They said, oh, no, we hadn't thought about that. I said, what are you going to do about, you're going to have like a little dinner or something? They said, or hors d'oeuvres or something, and some champagne. They said, oh yeah. They said, we hadn't thought about that. I said, what are you going to do about your first dance? They said, well, that's going to be a year from now, with you, when we're playing there. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know. Shouldn't it be on your wedding day? So I have a micro package that I call, and I'm going to talk about the price, but it's not cheap. But you know what? We show up and we wrap all of that up into a bow for you, and we play your ceremony music and we play a little cocktail music. We make sure everybody can hear, and you have your first dance, and the photographer's there, the florist. These people did it right, by the way. It just looked like a really, really tiny, first-class, elegant wedding.
So did they wear masks? Were they safe?
Oh, what a great question. So everybody had a mask on. Every vendor had a mask on. The florist had a mask on. I had a mask on. The waiters had a mask on. Everybody had a mask on. As everybody came in, 19 people total, remember? Not 19 guests, just 19 total, including the wedding party. Everybody had a mask on. They took their masks off to go up the aisle. We were outside. Okay. That's okay. We still had ours on. And then when they came back up the aisle, and they started their little party, there are less and less masks being worn. And forget about that. That's outside. It's 19 people. that's a situation that can be managed. I have people in this Wednesday night group of mine of band leaders from Texas, from Atlanta. I have a woman band leader that's on with me every single week. She got pretty good. She got pretty good genes. Her daddy's Isaac Hayes.
Wow.
Next week we're being spoken to. I have a little speaker each week by a PhD pharmacologist. Her daddy's James Brown.
Wow.
So it's an interesting group of folks. But here's what we're finding. It's not that the guests need to be protected from the band needs to be protected from the guests. Because they get in there, and I'll give you the worst example in a second. They get in there, maybe they have a mask on, maybe they don't. I will tell you one thing, they start drinking, there go to masks.
Right.
I'll tell you another thing, for 52 years now, my entire job has been to get everybody in the room into the same 20 by 20 square, that dance floor, in front of me, and keep them there till I dance them into a pool of sweat on the floor, and they're singing around loud, and the bridesmaids jump up on stage and do Don't Stop Believing with me. All of that, it's just another world. And we are going back to work September 19th at Salamander in Middleburg for 120 people. So a very small wedding for us, but people are cutting them down, and we'll see what happens. I will tell you, there's been a run at Amazon on stanchions and velvet rope. Like you're going to the Paramount or something, you see those gold ropes with the nice velvet ropes and everything. Virtually everybody in my Wednesday night group owns a set.
Wow. Because
we're putting them right in front of the stage. Because we're up there and we're worried about them, and they don't get it yet. It's I haven't experienced it yet. It's coming September 19th, and we're going to be ready for it. The other thing we're doing is, if you're going to be on stage with me once a month, because I can't really make it happen any more than that because of the lag time for testing and results and everything. Once a month, you show me a clean test, or you can't play. I'm really sorry. I have a woman, very important part of the band, that's a great singer, and her day job is running a bar and a restaurant.
Wow.
I put her on sabbatical. I said, when this thing is over, or when it's safer, or when there's a vaccine, or I don't want to tell you to get a different day job, you can come back. You don't have to re-audition for your job, but I just can't have you there. There's so many different things that we're having to deal with now, and here's what's happened with the postponement. So I only lost 2 jobs. I only had 2 cancellations, and they were both those last 2 Saturdays in March, where everybody didn't know what to do, when to do it, what the heck was going to happen. I have 19 that have postponed into 2021. And I have 4, 5, 9 left in 2020. I don't know what's going to happen to them yet. We're just sort of playing that by ear. So one of my friends said to me the other day, and I think I said this to you, he said, well, you didn't really lose anything. They just moved into next year. I said, yeah, let me explain to you what's wrong with that theory. So they didn't add any dates to 2021. They didn't say, here's a bunch more Saturdays. It's not going to be a 365-day year. It's going to be a 400-day year. So what happens is the people that I have moved from 2020 into 2021 have now eaten up a date that I was probably going to work anyway. So instead of having 2 weddings and 2 bags of money over 2 Saturdays, 2020 and 2021, I now have 1 bag of money on 1 date. So I'm not a big math guy, but it seems like I'm working for half price.
You're working for half price. You're exactly right. So I'll throw this to you. I'll throw this to you here, and you kill this interview. You're one of the easiest interviews out there. What are we going to do, or how do you manage the deposits that have been allocated? Because I know this is becoming an issue. You're a tremendous money manager. I've heard through the grapevine other folks have actually spent the deposit money already.
Sure. Not only have they spent it, they're like saying in the Washington Post that they spent it.
Yeah.
There are people, and it's not just bands, it's florists and
everybody.
photographers. Sure. people are, somebody actually said, it was in the Washington Post, hey, that's the money I live on during the slow times. Those deposits. I don't think the father of the bride thought that I was living on money that he gave me for a job, a year from November. So yeah, you probably your safest thing to do, and I'm not represented by a big agency, although I was for 24 years. That's the safest place for you. The big agencies are the ones that are going to be in the best shape to come out of this whole with your deposit intact. In our market here in Charlottesville, it's East Coast Entertainment and Sand Hill Entertainment, both first-class companies run by first-class guys. One's a little bigger than the other. This deposit thing is a little spooky. There isn't any question about it. I had a.
We're seeing lawsuits happening here.
Sure. Well, I got a call from an attorney the other day. It wasn't over deposit. I am now visiting every single venue, site visiting every single venue, even if I played there 100 times, because I have to look at it with different eyes now. And I go in and I demand that at the very least the planner be there. I really like to have the mother of the bride there. Is what I really want to have with me. I say, okay, show me where my stage is. Show me how we're going to social distance. There's 12 people on stage with me. What is that, 6 feet apiece? I don't see many 72-foot long stages. No. Locking. So last time I saw one of those. So we have things like that to talk about. How do I get to my green room? No, I can't walk through the crowd to do that. It's just not going to happen. So I met with the mother of the bride and the planner, and I was asking some of those questions. And I said, let's talk about masks for a second. I said, my front line, which are my singers, will have masks on except when they're singing, because we just can't find one that'll work. But when they walk off the stage, they're going to put a mask on. Everybody else in the band will have a mask on, except the horn players like me.
Yeah, how do you wear a mask if you're a horn player?
You don't. Yeah. You get, how about I play the trumpet? So here's how the trumpet works. I buzz my lips. I kind of sort of spit into the end of it, and a bunch of vapor comes out at the other end, along with some sound waves. So I have I thought I had one here. I have somebody has, made a better mousetrap. I bought some things that go over the bells and horns that are supposed to cut down on that. Who knows? We're all just figuring this out. But this mother of the bride looked me in the eye and said, nobody that's getting a check from me is wearing a mask that night.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, I'm sorry. I need you to say that again, because I certainly don't want to misinterpret. She said, nobody that I'm paying is allowed to wear a mask. I said, what about the cooks? She said, oh, no. I said, what about the waiters serving your guests? She said, nobody. I said, what about the guests? She said, we are encouraging the guests not to wear masks.
Oh, my goodness.
170 people, indoors, hotel ballroom in Virginia.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, well, here's the good news. Your event's not till November. You got plenty of time to find another band. I said, and I'd like to send you your deposit back, because I'm just not going to get involved.
And what did she say when you said that?
She said, you have a contract with me.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, really? She said, you'll be hearing from my attorney. I said, I look forward to it.
Oh, my goodness.
So he called me up a few days later. He said, yeah, you got a contract, and you got to come play this job, blah, blah, blah. I said, and he was doing the attorney thing, and I said, okay, first of all, my day gig is real estate broker. I talk to an attorney every day of my life. I said, so, and one of my very close friends, Bill Tucker, is my attorney and a very fine guy. I said, so the whole you're looking down on me, I'm like some street corner musician and you're an attorney thing, we need to move that to the side for a second. I said, let me tell you what I've offered. I have said I cannot work under those circumstances because of COVID. There's a whole force majeure thing that has been going back and forth. I said, you don't normally see it from the vendor side going back to the client, but yeah, I'm calling force majeure. He said, well, I'm not sure that'll hold up in court. I said, well, none of us want to go to court. That's silly. I said, you do understand your client has asked me
to break the law,
to commit a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
And encourages people that work for me to do the same thing.
Right.
He said, what are you talking about? So I told him the story. He said, there's no way she said that. I said, is there any chance at all I would make that up on the phone talking to her attorney?
Right.
He said, well, what about the deposit? I said, I offered her deposit back. I said, I'm not coming. He said, well, what if we sort of work this mask thing out a little bit? I said, no. It didn't get worked out a little bit for about 9 minutes. I said, no, I'm not coming. We have worked that out. Got an apology, not from the client, but from the attorney. But listen, it's the biggest day of somebody's daughter's life. I get the pressure. I have a daughter. I get the pressure. I understand it, but we have to, the vendors, the venues, the guests, we have to figure this out together. There's story after story after story of, what do they call it? Clusters that are happening at wedding receptions all over the country. And if you get out into Texas and Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina, it's wide open, man, because I talk to my band leaders from there every week. It is wide open. We are shucking and jiving and ducking and just trying not to talk to anybody. And that whole thing where you want to come up and request the song, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I know.
Or when the planner wants to say, okay, Ray, it's time for Dad's toast. Send me a text, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awkward world out there. The money is huge.
Right.
It's into the billions, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars right here in Charlottesville. We're all just trying to A, figure it out, and B, keep everybody safe. And some people have to stand up. I will tell the local venues. And I'll give you a perfect example. Adam Donovan Groves, who's a top shelf planner here in town, he spoke to our group, spoke to our Wednesday night group. And here's what he said. He said, tell me what you need to be safe. If it's not unreasonable, I will get it for you. He said, but remember this. When the bride's mother calls you up after she says, Adam said I have to have a bigger stage, don't you back down. He said, I'll take care of you, but don't you back down. So with quality guys like him in the business, it's a lot easier. He takes a lot of pressure off me. But it's going to be interesting. I'm going to say one thing because I heard you talking earlier about UVA and JMU and students and all that. My daughter is a senior at the University of Mary Washington. Formerly, you might be too young to remember this.
I remember that. I used to date a girl that went there.
Well, formerly the University of Virginia at Mary Washington.
Right.
Before UVA went co-ed. So here's the deal there. It was just announced on the 1st, so 2 days ago. Next Thursday and Friday, they're in session right now, but only virtually. Next Thursday and Friday is move-in day on campus. Move-in day on campus to the dorms. The president has spent a lot of time on Zoom speaking to the parents, taking questions. How many university presidents go on every week and take questions from angry parents? I mean, the guy's first class. But we're going to try. We're going to try. In my personal situation, my daughter has 4 virtual classes and one that has 6 people in it. So and she lives off campus. We run her little house. But I will tell you, I don't know why we think this thing's going to work. I mean, has any school come on and said, yeah, we opened, it was no problem?
Yeah, no, we haven't seen it, and we're about to see it here in Charlottesville. I'll tell you what, you are like literally one of the best interviews we do here. I just sit back and watch. I cannot wait to the day we can have a scotch together or do the interview in person like we've done in the past. I miss seeing you. I miss your positive energy. You're just a cool dude. And I miss being around a cool dude like you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
And look, we're coming back. We are coming back. The entertainment business is coming back. It might look a little different. Yeah, you need Kirby Hutto.
We should get Kirby from the Pavilion. Works for Red Light. If you can make that happen for us, I would love to have Kirby.
That's a guy that interestingly is a boots on the ground guy right here in our town. But also,
yeah, he's got ties to Core and Capshaw. Yeah, he knows everybody. Yeah, I would. If we can do that, I would love to have Kirby. I've never talked to Kirby. I would love to have him on the show. Let me go to Susan. Ray, thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, you have a good one. Kelly Jackson, if you're watching, we are going to go to you at 1:30. 35 or so. I want to get Susan in the mix. Man, Ray is a fabulous interview. Susan, I'm Skyping you now from the Thomas Jefferson Land Trust. Judah, it's ringing. We're going to welcome an individual that's making the community better through her organization. And Susan, if we can get you to activate that camera so we can see. Okay, fantastic. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
You got some big shoes to follow after Ray Caddell right there. All right, why don't we do this? First question I'm going to ask you is the first question I ask everybody.
My shoe size?
No.
It is pretty big, actually. No, okay.
How's the mental health right now? How's everything going, Susan? You personally?
Something funny about that, it's pretty similar to the houses that we just built. So I'm really inspired by our own designs. So
Okay.
actually, I'm doing all right.
Good,
Thanks
good.
for asking.
All right, the next question I'm going to ask you, introduce, and we're going to do a series of interviews with Susan and her colleagues as we start putting a face to an organization that is making our community better. Let's introduce the who, what, when, where, why of the Land Trust, and then I'll ask some follow-up questions, Susan.
All right, that sounds good. So my name is Susan Steimart. I'm Executive Director of the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust. That's a little-known organization here in our area that whose mission is focused on providing affordable, long-term home ownership. So the Land Trust was actually founded in 2008, so it's about 12 years old, and we either acquire or we build houses and we sell them. We sell the buildings to a person whose income qualifies, generally at 80% or less of our area median income. So yeah, let's see. The land upon which a house sits, that stays with the Land Trust. So that's why it becomes affordable for those families, because they're only buying the building. They technically own the building, and they can buy and sell it all day long to other families that will income qualify. But as I said, the Land Trust holds on to the land and keeps it permanently affordable for that reason.
So what we're trying to do is put a face to the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust because they're doing amazing things. A microcosm or a proof of performance, a POP, is what they have done at Nassau Street. Now, I've had an opportunity to get to know this through Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman, who I believe is the chair of the Land Trust here.
The Land Trust Board of Directors,
Yeah,
that's
right. That's right. So
right.
why don't, if we could, explain to everyone what you guys did on Nassau Street?
Nassau Street was an opportunity to put 4 families into an existing neighborhood. We created new houses in about a year and a half, so construction was pretty quick once we got our permits. We built duplex that were built to what you call a zero energy standard. So we're able to buy 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath homes priced at $215,000.
That's awesome.
$215,000, and their energy bills are about $11 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really helpful. Like, why should we care about that? Because that means that's a little bit of extra money that can go into those families' pockets to pay for car repairs, medical bills, their kids' educations, things like that. So we're really proud that we were able to do the zero energy construction with the help of grant resources.
Now, how this is possible, guys, is because the Land Trust maintains ownership of the land. Because they maintain ownership of the land, they're able to keep prices lower than what market would otherwise indicate. So how does the process work for getting a home with the Land Trust? How does this work?
So we partner with another important organization, Piedmont Housing Alliance, and they income qualify folks who are interested in purchasing a Land Trust home. And they'll take you through all the income verification process, and there's even a class that a homeowner can take, a potential home buyer can take, to learn more about the home ownership purchase process and learn more about things to know as a homeowner, because as we all know, it's a little bit different from being a renter. So many of our land trust folks were first-time home buyers, but not all of them. So we feel like that class that PHA offers is really, really important.
That's amazing. The type of folks that are getting homes with the land trust.
Yeah, that's really an important aspect to this, because people have a lot of misconceptions when you say affordable housing or housing that's affordable, however you want to put it. What they should know is it's pretty darn expensive to live in this area, either to rent or to own a home. These families that we were able to put on Nassau Street, they all were qualified earning 80% of our area median income or less. And if I tell you a little bit about them, that might help people understand kind of the depth of the problem. 3 of those families are employed at UVA. The 4th family is employed by Albemarle County as a school teacher. So we feel really proud that this is a solution that helps those folks who are kind of our core workforce in this area be able to live close by to where they're working and be able to provide for their families. So that was really important. And another thing to note, one of the families is actually a refugee family from Burma. So people who track that country's history know that there have been some political challenges, and so this was a good way for that family to gain a home ownership opportunity in our area.
The Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, guys, I think one of the few very legitimate options that we have in our community to keep housing affordable. And with inventory at all-time low levels, that's driving up prices like we've never seen before. We learned from the distinguished gentleman on Real Talk, which airs Tuesdays and Fridays on the I Love CVille Network at 10:15. We learned that the year over year, in August 2019 versus August 2020, the median sales price in the city of Charlottesville has increased roughly $80,000 year over year. That is startling, but undoubtedly an effect of COVID-19 in Charlottesville. What can we do to scale this model further so you can continue helping people?
Oh my God. Well, we're asking for help. That's the number one thing. We have all our funding in place for the next build, which will be another 6 units in this zero energy model. We like the duplex, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's great for small families. So yeah, we're fundraising for land acquisition. Roughly the price of one medium-priced home in Charlottesville, which is about $300,000, is what our capital campaign is for. So we're looking to raise $300,000 for our next project, 6 homes. And if folks want to help out, if they believe in this cause of housing affordability, and even the other thing to mention is that this is housing affordability for the long term. The land trust, as I mentioned, holds the land, but I didn't mention for how long. We hold the land for 90 years. So why is that interesting? Why is that different? Well, a lot of our folks in town work with community development and planning. And a lot of things that we work with there is what you call a master plan or a comprehensive plan. That's got a time horizon of 20 years. So the land trust is 4.5 times.
That's awesome.
So that pretty much sets for that neighborhood, this unit is going to stay affordable. It's going to be a family that's going to probably work at one of your nearby schools or be a firefighter or, a chef in a restaurant. You don't know. Someone who's aging in place. That's what that home is going to provide for over the years, over the many, many years. So yeah, we feel really proud about that aspect of the model too, because there are other tools out there that are really, none of the other tools in Virginia, with the exception of one other land trust in Richmond.
That's the one in Richmond, Maggie Walker.
Yeah, so there's only 2 of us. There's only 2 of us in the state. But we're the only ones, along with Maggie Walker, who are actually making these housing units stay affordable for 90 years.
Help me understand this, and you're killing this interview, Susan. You're a joy to interview here. I truly mean that. What happens after 90 years?
So in 90 years, if that homeowner still owns the land, I believe that the lease gets renegotiated. But during that time, what's important to note is the home can be bought and sold to anyone, including their own family members, if he or she income qualifies. So there's a whole pathway for inheritance too. So
you guys are building. You guys are legitimately creating a path for generational wealth.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's something too that you don't always think about when you hear the words affordable housing, right?
Right.
You think about, I don't know, there's a lot of different connotations. But yeah, no, this is something that's actually helping those homeowners, those families, build wealth for their own family members.
I like it. I like it. All right, so let's close on this. We will do a series of interviews on the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust to humanize, personalize, and localize this fabulous organization. We need to put an approachable face to this organization that is doing incredibly impactful things for this community. All right, how can we help? How do we get involved?
Yeah, so I would recommend those folks who want to learn more about the land trust. We've got a nice little video on the website that kind of talks about how it works, and you can reach out to me with any questions. And then, the website, you can make a donation if you feel so inclined. So the website is just TJ, as in Thomas Jefferson, CLT, Community Land Trust. So tjclt.org. Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, TJCLT.
I encourage anyone that's watching this show to please visit this website, and I encourage anyone that's watching this show, if you guys want to have an impact on our community and to create diversity, if you want to have an impact on this community and give people an opportunity to create generational wealth, this is the organization that can absolutely help do this. Susan, you are an absolute amazing human being. I love your earrings and that photo in the background over there.
The fighting bumblebee.
I like
That's
it.
us. We're fighting the fight for affordable housing.
I like it. And next time I welcome you on the show, I want to talk economic development. I want to talk, which is one of your skill sets. And I want to talk some land trust. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, Susan. You crushed it. Susan Steimart, Kelly Jackson, we're coming to you right now on the I Love CVille Show. How's virtual learning going? I want to figure out how virtual learning is going for students in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Kelly Jackson has 2 daughters that are currently virtually learning as we speak. She's got the blue glasses on. She looks fantastic. Hello, my friend. How are you? I loved, before we talk virtual learning, everyone should go to the Women Changing Our World Facebook page. They do, Kelly and Jamie, who are the stars of Women Changing Our World, do cocktail hours, and they stream them live. Yesterday, Kelly, in historical fashion, hilarious fashion, showed the fabulous Jamie Schwartz. Was it stuffed mushrooms? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, we did cheese stuffed mushrooms in my air fryer.
My favorite part, I watched the whole damn thing. I had 2 favorite parts. My favorite part was when you got the block of cheese out and the cheese grater, and Jamie Schwartz says, "What are we doing? Don't we just buy shredded cheese?" And Kelly, you looked at her like, who are you? Who are you? It was hilarious.
It was fun. It's fun. And I think next week we're going, either this weekend or early next week, since the holiday weekend, we won't have our show Monday. I'm going to teach Jamie how to do a boozy brunch.
Ooh, you should totally do that on your show here. I would love to booze and eat brunch with you.
Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll bring my air fryer.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's talk. We'll talk virtual learning. She's an amazing mom. She's a philanthropist and entrepreneur. Her family behind the fabulous locally owned Panera Breads in our community that are raising money for the Children's Hospital. I mean, they're just an amazing family here. Virtual learning. You have 2 daughters. So what I was hoping to do with the interview, and one of the things I appreciate about you, is you're real. And when the you-know-what is hitting the fan, you're not afraid to talk about it. How's it going with the girls in virtual learning now?
It started off very rocky.
Okay.
To say the least. I'm in my youngest schoolrooms right now. I mean, we have like math things, we have glue sticks, we have dry erase markers. I mean, like getting all of this stuff was insane. And trying to teach a 6-year-old how to use a mouse on a computer and to log into Zoom nightmare. But she has we hired a private teacher to teach her over Zoom with a few other kids. So that's smoothed out. It's going really well. My 7th grader, the first week and a half, there have been lots of tears, lots of screaming, lots of frustration on her end. But also, the school's communicating as best they can. But their number one priority is not these distance learning kids. It's these in-person kids. And distance learning was kind of an afterthought, I think. So they're still trying to work out some of the kinks. It's frustrating, man. And then they feel isolated even more because their friends are at school and they're sitting in front of a computer for 7 hours a day.
Yeah, FOMO.
Right. So we had to take her out of some elective classes. I did not like how her mental health was because she was sitting in front of a computer for 7 hours a day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, not happening.
So is it going better now? How did you adjust with your eldest to make things go more smoothly? Because let's cut to the chase. This is all starting now with the public schools. What's the advice you offer the moms out there? Because we know you're a fierce mama bear when it comes to your kids. We know that.
Yeah. I would recommend having your kids get into some virtual pods so they're doing school together even though they aren't together, whether that's they're Zooming each other to do homework together or to discuss the book they're reading or, whatever that may be. I would say if your kids are in electives, they've signed up for an extra class, do not do those. You are adding so much more time in front of the computer and so much more stress unless your kid really loves it. But skip debate this year. Do it next year.
That's good advice.
Skip math club this year. Do it next year.
So do you feel like she's hit her stride? Because she's a smart cookie.
She's very smart. So she's not having an issue with the material. It's really more an issue with the school having the right equipment. So in some classes she can hear the teacher, in some classes she can't. In some classes she can hear the other students talking, and in some classes she can't. You know what I mean? So their schools are still struggling with the technology, which I understand to a point, but I'm a little disappointed that they had 5 months to try to figure it out. But they're doing the best they can. I think they're doing the best they can. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I love it, Kelly. I love it. I am impressed. Did you guys up your Wi-Fi game at your casa? Because normally we're doing this interview in your living room with the red flamingo butler in the background. This is in your daughter's room, so you upped the Wi-Fi game at the house, didn't you?
No, well, I'm just doing it from her computer instead of my iPad.
Okay.
Do I look better?
It's crystal clear. It's fantastic. This is the spot for us to do this.
Yeah, well, that's why I did it, I think, last week. Okay, Jerry, you were saying something on your show about this die-in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that, and I thought it was very interesting. But why are students on grounds protesting being on grounds?
I know. That's such a good point. Keep going with that thought. You're literally spreading this pandemic by pretending to die next to each other. It's hypocrisy.
Right, and they gave you a virtual option. So why are you on campus to begin with? Why aren't you back in wherever?
Good point, Kelly. I love this about you.
Okay, and here's another thing. You saw that video from the Dean of Students,
yeah.
UVA Dean of Students, saying if you break these rules, you're out. Okay, but restaurants can do 50% capacity, right?
That's right.
Restaurants and bars can do 50% capacity.
That's right.
So, but UVA is saying you can only be in groups of 15. Well, what happens if you go to wherever on the corner to have a meal, have some beers with 4 of your friends, but then there's 30 people in there. And one of these people who is hired or local, Karen, as they say, take your picture and send it in. Like, how are they going to police that? They can't say you can't go out to eat.
That's a topic for women changing our world.
Right? But how are they going to do that, Jay?
I don't know. Do you have any? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. No. I mean, for me, I'm just not going to go to the corner. I mean, I'm at home anyway. The only place I go is Your Show, My House.
And Picasso Swig?
Well, yeah, but it's closed. Like, no one's in there.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think there's going to be tons and tons of cases. But then, you don't want to send all these kids home that have COVID, because then they're going to give it to their families.
Yeah. It's nuts.
So, at my girls' school, I know of 3 students in her class that are at home with symptoms and were required to get a test. The test is not back yet. But I will let you know when it comes back.
Please. I love your straightforwardness, and I know the school loves your straightforwardness as well, Kelly Jackson. But I respect your chutzpah so much. Thank you. Good to talk with you.
Yes, and we were not doing our show on Monday because it's a holiday.
You're doing a cocktail hour, right? Coming up?
Yeah, we're going to do some cocktail. I think we're going to double up our cocktail hours next week since we won't have our show on Monday.
You're saying more cocktails for Kelly?
Yes,
I know. She's helping those ABC sales guys at the Jackson house. Tell your man I said what up. You crushed this interview. Thank you so much.
Sure, I'll talk to you.
All right, bye, Kelly. J-Dubs, if you could do me this favor, will you let the gentleman from Clyde Smith in the hallway? That would mean the world to us. Just let them in. Let them know we're doing a live show. They have to take a look at our HVAC unit. We are multitasking here at the I Love CVille Show. Put your comments in the comments section. Now we will get to your comments. We're going to run headlines in a matter of moments on the show. Such good information on today's broadcast. I mean, such good information. We still have to talk Virginia Tech prohibiting tailgating. We still have to talk COVID cases up at Virginia Tech football. UVA pursuing an 11th game. Yeah, this one right here. Yep, UVA pursuing an 11th game. Georgia's starting quarterback opting out because of COVID, and gambling coming to Wrigley Field. You could just leave the door open and we can run headlines. Fellas, we're doing a show in front of 253,000 people right now, but the suite is yours. Make yourself at home. Thank you kindly very much, fellas. We love you. Hey, Bobby, good to see you, baby. Bobby Kirby in the house. Bobby Kirby. Hey, no. Can we see Bobby Kirby? Do you want to come on set here and you wave to people? You're a behind the scenes guy. I love Bobby Kirby. I love Clyde Smith. All right, Judah Wickhauer, let's run headlines quickly on the show. We'll talk college football, which means a lot to my boy Bobby Kirby here in the house. Virginia Tech is prohibiting tailgating in Blacksburg. Look at the screen. You are unable to tailgate for football at Blacksburg and Virginia Tech games. A smart move by the Hokies administration in the city of Blacksburg. The police, the POPO, the 5-0, the fuzz, they will literally pop you if you get caught tailgating at a Virginia Tech game and arrest you. Another headline from Virginia Tech, guys, is COVID cases upticking at Virginia Tech. COVID cases are upticking at Virginia Tech. Look at the screen. The head ball coach at Virginia Tech would not say how many positive cases have happened with the football team, but he did say they are increasing and we're tremendously concerned. I'm relaying this information to you because Virginia Tech football has said the reason cases are upticking within our football team is because students are back at school. So that's why cases are upticking with Virginia Tech football. I'm going to straight up say this. The September 19th matchup in Blacksburg with the University of Virginia visiting Lane Stadium to take on the Virginia Tech Hokies, I straight up think it's like, I'll say 60-40 the game happens. Maybe 65-35 the game actually happens. The football coach at Virginia Tech characterized his mental health in an article and a story to the Roanoke Times as this. This is the football coach at Virginia Tech characterizing his mental health for reporters. Quote, "I'm a basket case," end quote. Literally how the football coach at Virginia Tech is characterizing his mental health. He says, "We have COVID hitting the building and the football team at levels we haven't seen before. Virginia Tech has did 1,012 tests last week. 1,012 tests last week. Of those 1,012 tests last week, 157 showed COVID positive, or roughly 15.5%. That Virginia Tech UVA matchup, I hope to God it happens, because we need some college football in our lives. But it's 60-40 that it actually does. More college football news. This from the University of Virginia. Bronco Mendenhall tells reporters the ACC is pushing us to get an out-of-conference game, the +1, the 11th game to the schedule. So UVA's athletic department is now scrambling to find an 11th game. Bronco does not want to play the 11th game because of the safety of his players. I love that from the football coach. Still, the ACC is not giving UVA much wiggle room when it comes to that. Quickly, two more headlines from the sports world that I thought were important. The starting quarterback at the University of Georgia, a transfer from Wake Forest, Jamie Newman, he is going to sit out this season in Athens and the Georgia Bulldogs. Remember, Georgia's going to allow 23,000 fans and its 80,000 plus football stadium. And this transfer from Wake Forest, who's the number 6 ranked quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft, Jamie Newman, says, nah, dog, I ain't playing football this year. And the last headline before we get to your comments. If you have comments that you'd like to hear relayed to anybody on air, now is the time to put your comments in the comments section. I am about to read your comments live on air. Put them in the stream now if you want people to hear what you have to say about the topics we're talking about. Last headline, Judah Wickhauer from Chi-Town, from Chicago, from the Windy City, and from Wrigley Field. Okay? Gambling Windows, a sports book, will be put at Wrigley Field next year. That means you can go to Wrigley Field, you can get a cold beer, you can get a brat, you can wax nostalgic of the days of Harry Carey being the play-by-play guy with Steve Stone as the color commentator. You can remember the days of Harry Carey talking about the Budweisers and the Bud Heavies and singing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Half the time you're wondering if he's drunk on air. I miss that Harry Carey. I fell in love with the Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. I'm a Braves fan. My brother's a Cubs fan because of WGN and because of TBS. When we got home from school, he would watch WGN and I would watch TBS and we'd watch our favorite baseball teams. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. Gambling Windows, now at Wrigley Field for next year. Folks, this is the future of sports, especially in a COVID landscape when people can't get their fix for baseball or football in person in stands. All right, let's get to your comments. Before we get to your comments, put them in now. Now is the time to do it if you want your perspective heard in front of the I Love CVille Network. So, Judah, let's let them know how they can save $288 through Ting Fiber Internet. Guys, we have a coupon and discount code for Ting Fiber Internet. You have to go through this link, ilovecville.ting.com. Ting has generously offered $288 of savings for viewers of the I Love CVille Network. It's the most affordable price for the best internet possible, and COVID has made fiber internet paramount and critically important. All right, comments. Are you ready? Andy Wilfong. Andy, I'm really enjoying the perspective you're sharing on this show, Andy. I really mean that, okay? You're making us better, okay? Andy Wilfong says, you can buy any spirit at any mom and pop store in West Virginia. There is no need for ABC in West Virginia. Also, the ABC police don't have the best reputation in Charlottesville. He's exactly right. He's exactly right. A monopoly in the Commonwealth, much like Dominion Energy, the ABC needs to be broken up. And we need to be able to buy liquor at mom and pop shops. Okay? It needs to be a bit more democratic. Ray Caddell says, and Andy, you could even buy them at the 7-Eleven for that matter in West Virginia. You can buy them anywhere. Okay? Connecticut, one of my best buddies, Connecticut Dave. They call them packaging stores. Isn't that what they call them, Dave? Packaging stores. He lives in Fairfield, Connecticut. Got one down the street. You buy some beer, you buy some liquor, you get some snacks, maybe a pack of smokes if you do that. Why don't we have that in the Commonwealth of Virginia? Pat Owen says, people just do not get the importance of masks and this COVID-19 situation. Thank you, Pat Owen, for offering perspective. Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum, one of the smartest dudes we know. Neil Williamson, I loved your retail report, my friend. Please come on this program. I would give you a flying chest bump if you were here right now, Neil Williamson. Actually, I could do that because it's freaking COVID. I would give you an air or fist bump, okay? Neil Williamson says, Ray Caddell is correct. It can be done safely, but we have to accept weddings look different. I'm the father of a bride, July 4th, 2020. Neil Williamson, congratulations on your beautiful daughter's nuptials. Marquise Johnson, this is the place for news. God bless you, Jerry Miller. Thank you, my friend. We have your suggestion on tomorrow's show, Marquise. I mean, you made that happen. Carol Thorpe, Jerry, phenomenal interview with Ray Caddell. In addition, theater companies, dance companies, and karaoke. So much live entertainment is shut down and dying on the vine because of COVID. Nationally, who knows when Broadway, touring theater companies, dinner theaters, supper clubs, and piano bars will reopen, if ever again. I feel for them all. Carol Thorpe, one of the most talented karaoke superstars in Charlottesville, Virginia. Gary Grant, he says, Jerry, 3 of the 17 UVA board members live in the area. James Murray of Keene, Barbara Fried of Crozet, and Robert Hardy of Charlottesville. He's right. The difference, however, is these individuals, rich, wealthy, and white. How about representation of middle class, working class, people of color? That's what we need on the board for representatives on the Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia. Iris Luck says, Ray Caddell, a wealth of knowledge. A tremendous interview. I agree, dude. Ray, you crushed that. Per usual. I mean, the dude is just a showman. Rob, I love you as well. Thank you for watching the program. Todd Proctor, thank you for liking and sharing the show. Ashley Cantras, Scott Aaronworth, who's on tomorrow. Rosemary Postel, I feel like I know you already, Rosemary, and I've never met you. Thank you for liking and engaging with the program, Rosemary. You are good people. Yona Smith, Jesse Rutherford, Nelson County Board of Supervisors watching now. Sean Napier, the real estate agent Christopher Eagle. You guys, I love you. Thank you for joining us on the I Love CVille Network. Judah, did we do everything we need? No, we have one more thing we need to get out, don't we, my friend? Judah Wickhauer is our director. Man, I have a phone call in 3 minutes. Good night. 5 o'clock on Monday through Friday, we do the I Love CVille Daily Digest. The I Love CVille Daily Digest is an aggregated version of the I Love CVille Show. It's all your news in 5 minutes or less. Tomorrow, Scott Aaronworth on the program, one of the biggest foodies I know, to talk about restaurants in our community. Here are some crystal ball predictions for you on the I Love CVille Show. Crystal ball prediction number 1. The Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust is going to blow up. We're going to feature them often on this program because they're stewards of this community that are doing amazing things. If we want diversity and affordability, and if we want our community, is the word homogenous, Judah? Yeah, if we do not want this community to be homogenous, if we do not want this community to be white and rich, we better get some affordable housing in this town, or we're going to be faced with a white and rich community. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? The Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, and Judah, I'm going to email you a photo real quick. The Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust is helping create affordability in our community, and it's helping create diversity. I predict the land trust is going to blow up. J-Dubs, I just sent you a photo from Barbara Lundgren, who's at Angelique's right now getting some fried fish. If you can put that photo on screen via your email inbox, that would be absolutely amazing. Ellie Quick, if you're watching this show, you're my 202 phone call. I'm going to be about 60 seconds late, Ellie Quick, for that phone call at 202. Crystal ball prediction number 2. I am not certain about that UVA Virginia Tech football game. I am not certain about that UVA Virginia Tech football game. The NC State game was already deferred or postponed for the Hokies. We'll see what happens on September 19th with Virginia Tech and the University of Virginia, with the football coach in Blacksburg straight up saying, we have COVID breakouts with our football team right now. Okay, that's in the media. The same thing happened with NC State in the media. We'll see if that game happens. I pray. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for everything that you have blessed us with. Thank you. We are in a tough time of uncertainty. Please offer some clarity and some light for all of us as we head into the back portion of what's been the most difficult year of our lives for so many. Amen. My name is Jerry Miller. This is the I Love... Oh, you have the photo? Oh, it's on screen. Look at the screen. Angelique's. Barbara Lundgren is getting some fried catfish. Is that fried catfish, Barb? What do you think that is, J-Dubs?
Didn't we hear it was whiting?
Is that... What is whiting?
I think it's just
A type of fish?
a type of fish.
Look at that fish on screen. Bobby Kirby's looking sharp. Coming in the studio right now. Love some Bobby Kirby. You think that UVA Virginia Tech game's going to happen, Bobby Kirby? Did you see what happened today? Virginia Tech's football coach said there's COVID breakouts left and right with the Virginia Tech football team. Yeah, I'm worried about it, Bob. I'm worried about it, Bobby. Bobby Kirby, Clyde Smith, great people here. All right, I got to get out of here. I got a phone call. Tomorrow, guys, 12:30, I Love CVille Show, 10:15 a.m., Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman in Real Talk on the I Love CVille Network. I love you, Charlottesville. I love you, Central Virginia. You guys have a good afternoon. You can go, shoot, I got this phone call. She's texting me right now.